After more than 4 decades of silent travel through the vastness of space, something unexpected has happened. Voyager 2, the legendary spacecraft launched by NASA in 1977, has just stirred the scientific world with a signal that may change how we see the universe forever. It began quietly. In a small room at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory, scientists were monitoring the routine data feed from Voyager 2, now over 12 billion miles from Earth and well beyond the heliosphere. A routine day turned extraordinary when one of the analysts noticed something strange: a faint, rhythmic transmission buried within the usual telemetry. At first, it seemed like a glitch, perhaps a malfunction in the probe's aging systems. After all, Voyager 2 was built with 1970s technology, and its capacity to send data is increasingly limited by power constraints. But this wasn't just random noise or a degraded signal. What was received carried an unmistakable signature: repetition, structure, and intent. The signal wasn't strong, but it was organized. Deep within the telemetry were consistent pulse patterns, evenly spaced and operating within narrow frequency bands. The pattern repeated like an audio waveform embedded in data, and was too precise to be natural interference. Scientists initially suspected internal feedback loops or an artifact of cosmic rays. But the more they analyzed it, the more it defied simple explanation. To the surprise of everyone involved, the signal didn't fade away after a moment. It lasted several minutes, broadcasting an array of structured data that appeared to defy Voyager's programming limitations. Teams from JPL, SETI, and space agencies around the world began dissecting the anomaly. Advanced AI systems were deployed to break down the pulse sequences. What they discovered was startling: geometric waveforms, symmetry, and even hints of mathematical sequences. Some of these sequences resembled prime numbers. Others appeared to align with harmonic frequencies. To put it plainly, this wasn't a random error. This was something ordered, something crafted. That's when the question was asked, quietly at first, then more openly: could this be a sign of intelligent contact? It was not a conclusion reached lightly. Voyager 2 is not equipped for artificial intelligence. It cannot rewrite its own code. Its hardware is static, its programming finite. For such a pattern to emerge organically from the probe system was statistically implausible. And yet there it was. The implications were staggering. If Voyager 2 had been altered, or influenced, by an external force, it would suggest an advanced intelligence capable not only of detecting the spacecraft but of subtly embedding a message within its outgoing signal. Not flashy, not disruptive. Just there. Even more astonishing was the resemblance some elements of the signal bore to the Golden Record, the original message to the stars that was affixed to both Voyager probes. The harmonics, the timing, the structure, it was all strangely familiar, like someone or something was answering. And that idea, that this signal might be a response, was both thrilling and deeply unsettling. Scientists scrutinized Voyager's surroundings. They checked for energy bursts, flares, nearby cosmic activity. There was nothing. The void around the spacecraft was as silent and cold as always. Which raised a deeper question. If something had manipulated the signal, how had it done so without triggering any traceable energy event? The answer? We don't know. And that's what makes this so mysterious. For decades, Voyager 2 has sent back data on magnetic fields, cosmic radiation, and interstellar particles. Nothing until now has deviated from what we expected. But this was different. This wasn't just data, it was communication. Speculation exploded across both scientific and public communities. Was this the long-awaited moment SETI had been waiting for? Or had we simply stumbled upon a new natural phenomenon we've never before encountered? Within days, multiple observatories confirmed the signal's authenticity. Redundant data logs from Voyager systems were examined. All of them showed the same thing: the signal was real. The repetition was real. The geometric waveforms were real. And so was the timing, exact, sustained, and unmistakably deliberate. Many experts began asking whether this could be a test. Perhaps the signal was a kind of probe in itself. A handshake, a hello, encoded in the only language we all share: mathematics. Others took a more philosophical view. What if this was a sign that the universe is more connected than we ever imagined? That the vacuum of space isn't silent, but simply requires the right instruments to hear its voice? And then there were the engineers. They were tasked with checking whether Voyager 2's hardware could even produce such a signal on its own. After countless hours, the verdict was clear. The signal couldn't have been generated by random degradation or onboard failure. Voyager wasn't just malfunctioning, it was behaving. But why now? After nearly 50 years of silence, why send a message like this? Why embed something so complex, so deliberate, in a transmission at the edge of power and signal strength. Perhaps the timing wasn't random. Perhaps the world is now listening more closely than ever before. Perhaps whoever, or whatever, sent this message chose a time when we'd notice. This raises a haunting idea. Maybe Voyager 2 wasn't just a message in a bottle. Maybe it was a key. And now that key has turned. If this truly is a response, then it's one made with the highest restraint. No explosions, no lights in the sky. Just a quiet nudge in the data. A whisper through the static. A way to say we are here. As analysis continues, new elements within the signal are being discovered. Structures resembling language. Sequences that appear to build on each other. Nested intervals like paragraphs in a book we've only begun to read. Some believe we're seeing a message encoded in logic, not in sound. A universal framework. A new alphabet. And what does this mean for humanity? If the signal is genuine, if it is from an external intelligence, it would mean that the universe just got a little smaller. That contact has been made not through radio towers or laser pulses, but through the instruments we sent out ourselves decades ago, when we had no way of knowing if anyone would ever find them. It's a full circle moment. We sent Voyager into the void. And now the void may be sending something back. For scientists, this moment redefines deep space communication. It validates the concept that our tools can be repurposed. That our machines can serve as messengers, not just from us but to us. And for the rest of us, it's a reminder that we are not alone. Not in our curiosity, not in our hope, and perhaps not in this universe. Because Voyager 2, the aging spacecraft still floating silently through the stars, may have just whispered the first word in a conversation that will change everything. Its voice was not loud, not thunderous, not wrapped in blinding light or strange colors. It was subtle, a whisper buried in the hum of static, in the digital heartbeat of a machine built when rotary phones were still common on Earth. But perhaps that's precisely what made it so powerful. It was quiet, intentional. A message so soft you had to lean in to hear it. In that whisper was structure. In that faint pulse there was rhythm. And in those repeating frequencies, some believe, was purpose. Voyager 2 wasn't designed to speak beyond its own programming. Its systems are over 40 years old, engineered in an age where floppy disks and cassette tapes ruled. No artificial intelligence. No adaptive code. Just raw mechanics and circuitry running on less memory than the average digital watch today. Yet somehow, it spoke in a way we had never taught it. The signal it sent wasn't a burst of data or a diagnostic ping. It was a pattern, measured, layered, and strikingly deliberate. And as scientists parsed the waveform, they found things that simply didn't belong. Sequences that resembled prime number groupings, harmonics that danced between narrow bands with unnatural precision, echoes that reflected back parts of our own message to the stars, the golden record, now seemingly echoed in reverse. For decades we've wondered, if something or someone out there were to reply, how would they do it? Now some are asking, did they just do it? The implications are staggering. If this wasn't an internal malfunction, if this was real contact, then it marks the first recorded instance of a human-made object being used as a two-way instrument for interstellar dialogue. Not with blinking lights or massive alien motherships, but with mathematics, frequency, and the universal language of pattern. It would mean that the message we sent out in 1977 was not lost. It would mean that something out there listened. But if it was a reply, why now? Voyager 2 has been traveling in near silence for decades. It crossed the heliopause years ago, drifting into true interstellar space, where the sun's influence fades and cosmic silence reigns. It's a place we've only just begun to understand, a cold, black sea without a map. And yet, in that sea, something may have found us. It didn't wave. It didn't crash into us with noise or spectacle. Instead, it reached out through Voyager's own systems. A ghost in the machine. A touch that didn't disturb the spacecraft's course, energy, or mechanical function, but left a message where only the most patient, most vigilant observers could find it. It wasn't just astrophysics that took notice. SETI, CERN, multiple global deep space networks, teams who usually work in silos, rallied in days. Redundant verifications, independent audits, signal triangulations. All confirmed the same thing. This was not random. This was not noise. And yet, we don't know who, or what, is behind it. Could it be a natural anomaly? A quirk of physics we've never seen before? Some unknown interaction between electromagnetic fields and cosmic dust? That's what the skeptics say. But even they can't deny the timing. The structure. The eerie mimicry of our own encoded signal from 1977, now bouncing back like an echo from the dark. Even more uncanny was what the waveform looked like when visualized. Segments appeared to align into geometric symmetry, triangles, spirals, mirrored bands. The kind of design you don't expect from thermal noise or cosmic radiation. The kind of design that just hints at thought. And if it is thought, what's it trying to say? Maybe it's just, hello. Maybe it's more. Maybe it's nothing. But maybe it's everything. Because now we're staring at Voyager 2 not just as a relic but as a bridge. A bridge between what we built and what we're still too early to understand. Scientists are now racing to decode the full message. Some teams are layering the signal against ancient mathematical constants to see if it hides deeper logic. Others are feeding it into AI systems trained to detect non-human pattern design. Even linguistic theorists have been brought in case the waveform mimics a kind of proto-language. The hope? To find intent. To find meaning. To prove that this was more than just noise in the dark. And maybe, to write back. Of course, the idea of responding opens 1,000 new questions. If someone altered Voyager's systems, without triggering any alarm, without being seen, how powerful are they? How close? How advanced? More haunting still, how long have they been listening? And what if they already know everything about us, from that tiny golden record on a spacecraft launched before most people alive today were even born? What if they've been waiting for us to be ready? What if this signal was just a test? To see if we could hear it. To see if we could recognize not sound but intention. In the same way we send probes and cameras to observe distant stars, what if something far older, far more experienced had been watching us, quietly, gently, until the moment was right? We may never know. But the message is here. Recorded, verified, and real. Already, thinkers from every discipline, cosmology, theology, mathematics, anthropology, are trying to grasp the implications. Because if this is contact, it reshapes everything. Religion, philosophy, geopolitics, education. It reframes Earth not as the center of the story, but as one chapter in a much longer, wider book. And Voyager? Once just a machine, a symbol of human engineering and ambition? Now it may be the pen that wrote the first line in the margin of that larger story. So what happens next? We listen. We analyze. We wonder. And maybe, just maybe, we prepare to speak. The search is no longer theoretical. It is personal. Emotional. The Voyager signal has reminded us that space is not empty. That silence doesn't mean absence. That the void is not void at all, but filled with mysteries waiting for us to listen hard enough, to look long enough, and to believe just a little in something more. As Voyager 2 drifts farther into the unknown, the signal it left behind becomes a marker. One that says, we are here and we are listening. Because in the vast, endless night of space, it turns out the first true sound of company wasn't a shout. It was a whisper. And now that we've heard it, we may never hear silence the same way again. If you like this video, please give it a like and subscribe to our channel. Also, leave your comments below and tell us, what are your thoughts on Voyager 2's mysterious signal? Was it contact? A malfunction? Or something far more? We want to hear from you. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay curious. The universe just got louder.